Hello, and today I'm evaluating ArcGis for terrain rendering using Unity. So, similar as before, we're looking at easy use, looking at quality, looking at panning, and make some observations as we go. What we have here's the ArcGis SDK, and it's a very quick look at what we can do. It's split into two things you can see on the left hand side. We've got things that could be in the editor. So for example, this menu item here is an editor. We can also see I've got Mapbox on here. And we can also see that we've got various other things that are added via code onto the editor for Unity. So if I browse down, I am opening what's Universal Rendering Pipeline, the API scene, which we've got here. Associated with the API scene, we have a prefab scene. Let's start with the API scene on Universal Rendering Pipeline, and let's have a look. Let's see what we've got. I have run this previously, so I'm not sure if it's a fair test. So let me I've got a particular location. Let me open up this Visual Studio. Let's see what code it takes to render this map on and its layers. Okay, this is when we first start, before we start Unity, but this is when we actually click the start. We have getting a view mode, and then we've got four layers, we've got elevation data, and then we've got a base map. So we've got the ground, we have any kind of height mapping to adjust it, and then we've got four layers, and we need different levels of opacity, how see-through or not it is, and that allows us to create a better effect. Otherwise we can't see the various other layers. We see where we are in the world, and we decide how big a circle we want, essentially, and I don't know whether that's in kilometers or whatever the case. And so there's two things. There's this circle extent where we're looking, and second we have the global positions and where we are looking. So heading, that's where we're looking left and right. Pitch is up and down. Rule is like this, in case you didn't know. We have these different game objects, render containers that do the drawings, and then the ability to draw a skybox if we need one. So this is everything that's needed in order to run this example. You can see it's pulled it down, and those layers that you saw, those layers must be configured on a server because nothing is done here. So that means lock in to a particular provider. And as you can see, as I pan to another place, each one of these tiles, I don't think these tile sizes are configurable, as in to have them bigger or smaller. So this is the... Wow, what are these? These are some funny... We've got some unfortunate visual effects there. Do you see on the left hand side here? As I'm moving it up and down, we can see aliasing happening at that point there. Maybe it's finished loading, or maybe the angle isn't quite right. Taking into account that this API was released 2 months ago, or October 2020, both for Unity and Unreal. So I'm just having a look here. You can see that they haven't figured out everything yet. They're having some visual artifacts. So depending on the angle I'm looking, you can see down here, we may have artifacts. Ooh. Which could be a distraction if I put this in a 3D world. I'm not sure they support augmented reality. Ooh. Yeah, we can see some effects. It's not... Let's... may have to adjust a couple of things on the camera. So this is... if we can remember where this object is, we can have an idea if we solve our problem. If we can find that position again, not sure if we can, but we can try. I can still see lots of artifacts with the... Oh, let me turn that off. Let me turn on use graphic settings. Let me change the preferences to see what the quality is like on the graphics. Because at the moment it is set to tier 3. Which is the highest quality we can have on that side. So this one, of Ultra. Okay, so maybe the HD quality. So this pipeline that you see here, this is what can run in a mobile environment and also in a headset. That's not tethered, so I could wear the headset and look around because it's using the universal rendering pipeline. And attached to the universal rendering pipeline is the Vulkan API, and that means it can run for lower devices. If we have a look at the HD rendering pipeline, let's have a look at that. I'm hoping it's got the same coordinates. Let's give this a run. I haven't done any changes at all. Please go ahead. It's over there. The light doesn't seem to be seems to be too intense. Okay, what do we have here? Interesting. We still have the aliasing problems. Either they're having some sort of power problem in the city, or we have a graphics initialization problem around aliasing still. Yeah, it's a bit distracting with the visual artifacts where things appearing and disappearing. But it has only been a month or so before this has been released. Let's have a look at main camera. Let's change the position to get an idea. Let's change this to clipping plane. You see the clipping plane, that's, well, let's set it to 30,000 up here. So we're looking down. Let's, oh, it snaps back. Oh no. I have to do this the old-fashioned way. Oh, interesting. The clipping planes, the near and the far, being adjusted as I move the mouse. Let's go down here. Let's see if very, very interesting. We're not really using, we're using these render containers which do the drawing of the map, but we don't have many examples. Let me see if the HDRP prefab scene, let's see what's in there. So prefabs are objects that are created I think we might have a similar. This is interesting because these scenes are all out of the box, so I've had to adjust that, which for me indicates maybe further testing would be required to capture that. As we can see, as I look around, it's this drawing. As I zoom in, you can see that these parts are loaded that's nearest to me, so this is almost like foveated rendering. Even though I'm not using with my eye, it's actually distance from the camera. So if I look around, it's the same thing, but this distance for this higher quality actually needs to be further in order to get that quality. So really, instead of loading these squares are quite small. So what happens if I do this? We can see that it's being adjusted slightly, so the tiles appear to be very big the more I go higher up in the air, and then the lower I get, it appears the tiles seem to be smaller. Ooh. Another rendering artifact, sadly. So on the mountain side, they have a few items to fix along the way. We can see this is happening. This strange ridge effect is when it doesn't know where the mountains are, or it doesn't know how to blend between the high ground and lower ground, or it doesn't know where the distance is in order to do that calculation. So let's have a look here. Ooh. Yes, that doesn't look quite right. I've not seen that in the real world. But yes, looks like they still need to figure out the blending between the terrain. If there is no elevation in the terrain, this wouldn't be a problem. But the problem that would still remain is the buildings themselves. The buildings would still have that strange aliasing effect, even though I'm running on the HDRP, which means that you'd be running this scenario on the PC with a graphics card or a tethered headset in order to achieve this effect. And you can see it's the same effect that you can see on the universal rendering pipeline that we've just looked at. And if we have a look at the ArcGis SDK itself, if we try and have a look at some scripts, let me see if I can find some relevant scripts that we can have a look at. I think it could be a bit more limited than what we had with some of the other ones. So what I'm trying to do is find the various okay, 1 second. I found TableVR, AR, sorry. So you would be able to do this kind of scenario with it. So these are a similar type scenario where we are doing basic interactions, loading data. Now I just need to find on the website about where the documentation is for this. It's quite interesting. So again, there's a tile service that they all seem to have, and this is where they load the data from. Varies across platform, publish tiles, scene layers, dynamic layers, image layers. Interesting. So I don't think we can do much a review on what's available on the key here. As the API itself, let's have a look to see if we can get to some of the code to have a look at what methods we have. Game engine map. So here we have much like the world view, this one's abstracted compared to Mapbox. We'll have a look at how Mapbox does things a little bit later, but we can see that we're going for the tile service, a particular layer, and maybe this is my user, maybe this is the name, this is the opacity, I think. And an API key to get it. This is obviously public. Interesting. So what this means to me is earlier on in this interaction, I would need to control do I have a script? Yes. Let me have a look at this script. What else do we have? ArcGis camera component, camera controller. So on here I am getting these public variables allow it to show in here. Let me scroll down. Get the camera. Find the renderer, that's the item that does the drawing. Decide how we want to render it. Do we want to see the Earth, the longitude and latitude, or the Earth radius, or global? How are we looking at it? and we've got update camera to put it in where it's supposed to be. We've got update camera. Let's have a look. Magic number. I do not know where they're getting that magic number on, but it scares me a little bit because we do not know where that magic number is coming from or its use, as it's not got a name. And on here it is just adjusting the camera. Let's have a look over here for the next one. So okay. So we move the mouse and then the camera moves. This is what I think is happening. Get the camera, get the renderer. So when I move the renderer, when I move the camera, the renderer moves. And it's good they're actually using input get access, because then it can change to different devices easily. Drag mouse. Okay. So this is me looking just at the Unity based rendering APIs. Now it'll be time to look at Unreal and trying to understand what APIs are available for that and what's the flexibility, and does it have the same problems that Unreal has, or have they solved it, because these are two different products. We will see. Thank you.